Hey, so today we're going to be getting started on a MacBook Touchbar motherboard. This is an 820-00239 board. This is one of the boards where the solid-state drive, as you can see, is soldered onto the motherboard. So I really do hope that we'll be able to fix this board, because this is one of those boards that you got to fix in order to get the data from. Gotta love Apple's new design. They tie the SSD to the motherboard. And if the board is messed up enough, you can't even use that little lifeboat connector to get the data. So let's see what we can do on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is give the board a little bit of a visual inspection, see if we can get an idea of what's going on and what's wrong with it. So I'm going to get the microscope camera on it, and we're going to check it out. Jessa clearly has cheated. She has cheated. So don't listen to anything that she has to say in the chat, because she is a cheater. We can see that we have a red piece of sticker over here. So obviously it's gotten liquid damage. I mean, if it's obviously it's gotten liquid damage. That's why the damn thing is here. So we're just going to take a look through. All right. Okay, that's some pretty corroded, nasty stuff over here. Some pretty corroded, nasty stuff here. You can see this side of the capacitor looks nice and healthy. That side does not look nice and healthy. Oh, yeah, you can see over here this entire row of backlight caps has a little bit of corrosion on it. Backlight fuse got corrosion on it. Continuing our way through the board, the rest of it looks pretty nice. This doesn't look nice. Just going to continue looking through. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is get to measuring things. So I just got to plug this thing in so I can get started with measuring the board and seeing if I got something that works. So let's just plug the thing in on the desk here. All right, got my board. Let's get my plug and plug this in. All right. Okay, looks like we are plugged in. And let's get rid of crotch cam over there and get Paul Daniels' software up on the screen, which is going to allow us to measure our voltage. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is measure voltage on one of the DC infuses. Make sure that the 20 volts from the charge is actually making its way to the motherboard. And you're going to find that over here. So if I go all the way over here, right next to where the charger is, I'm going to find a fuse. FB201. So let's see. See? This is where the power is going to come in from my charger. PP20V. And let's check that out. So we're going to have the meter in voltage mode. And check that fuse out, see if we got the power from the charger coming into the machine. And it looks like we've got 20 volts, but for some reason, Paul Daniels' software is stuck in resistance mode. Interesting. Ahem. There we go. 20 volts. So we've got that coming in. So now we got to check out the power rails in the machine and see which one is missing. Because if there's no power, most likely what's occurring is there's a power rail that's missing and not showing up. So we are going to find the page on the schematic that shows us all of our power rails. Here we go. Right up here. We have a nice list of every rail. And the first one is PP-Bus G3 Hot. And it says over here that it's supposed to be 13.1 volts. So let's see where we can find PP-Bus G3 Hot. So on the software over here, we're just going to search around, see what we get. Love the Microsoft coverage, says Dave Oscillation. Yeah, people either love it or hate it. iPad Rehab says, hey, Jack, got any good video ideas for Lewis to welcome all of his new subscribers? Yeah, since the last time that I did a stream, I just wanted to say hi to all of you out there, since there's about 25,000 new subscribers since my last stream. So if you're new, welcome. Welcome to the channel. And let's check this out. So PP-Bus G3 Hot is the first rail, and we can find that right here. All right. So let's see what we get. Do we get 13.1 volts? Do I see 13.1 volts? What do I see? We get 0. All All right. Now, there are a couple of things that can keep a power rail from working. The first is the chip that creates that rail could be bad. The second thing that could be happening is that the input voltage is not present. The third thing that could be happening is that it's being shorted to ground. A short circuit to ground means that instead of the power going from here to here, like it's supposed to, there could be something that is in the middle of the line that's broken that's sending the voltage to ground. In order to have a complete circuit, you need to have a path to ground. But you cannot have a direct path to ground because then your electrons will never make their way through the actual circuit before going to ground. They'll just go straight to ground. Now, think of it like shoving a fork into an electrical outlet. When you shove a fork into an electrical outlet, what you would imagine happens is it gets burned, and it's going to explode and pop and fizzle, and the fork is going to get really burning hot. Whatever is going to be carrying all that power is going to get really hot. So the way we can typically figure out if there is a short circuit is by measuring the resistance between ground and short circuit and the rail. So let's put the multimeter into resistance mode, unplug power from the board, and we're going to put one of our probes on ground, which is going to be just something like this, any kind of metal, and our other probe over here. And we have 0.4 ohms of resistance, which is virtually no resistance. That's almost the same as if I just tapped the probes of the meter together. So there is a short circuit to ground. And the way we're going to find that is we're going to try and put voltage into here, and then whatever component is sending it to ground is going to get really hot. So we're going to try to find that thing that gets really hot. And there's someone named Short to Ground in the chat. Wow. So let me just get my soldering iron on here. Put on my fume extractor. Get rid of the noise. Paul says, what did you break now? Paul, I broke nothing. It just stopped working. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. All right. So we are going to wire my power supply directly to Pepe Bus G3 hot. And we're going to put something like 1 volt in there for starters. Rob Patterson says, you know why. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm curious how it is you know him, by the way. I would be curious to know how it is that you know Eric. With the video I did on Eric, my goal was not I wanted you to decide for yourself what you thought, so I figured I would let him answer the questions in full. No Fox News or MSNBC-like interrupting. Just straight, I ask questions, he gives answers. You decide what you make of the situation. And I had my opinions from the right to repair standpoint on it, but it's not for me to make your decision for you on exactly what to think of everything that went on there. Thanks for the video. It's been helping me stay calm during tough times. Glad to finally catch you live. Thank you, True Vader. I really appreciate that. Alright, so I'm going to put the positive end of my power supply onto Pepe Bus G3 hot. That's going to be really difficult to do because it's right next to a bunch of probe points over there. Let's make this wire a little tinier. There we go. Alright, and we're going to take the ground probe of that wire. You ever stripped a screw? Yes, absolutely. I am human. Therefore, I strip screws. Humans strip screws. Superhumans use Exolite 175M fine tip snippers to get them out. That's right. Get an Exolite 175M 5-tip snipper today. Now, people will say, you need to get a Dremel to get the screw out. Yeah, but when you have something like $10 left in your bank account and it's Christmas of 2009 and you stripped a screw on a machine that was going to be the one piece of income that's supposed to feed you through the entire week of Christmas, you can't buy a Dremel. So what I did is I went to Dale's Pro Audio. I got myself a set of Exolite 175M fine tip snippers, which allows you to grab the screw and then twist it out. For this thing was something like $5, and it saved me from starving in December of 2009 when I was completely broke starting in this business. Get yourself a bottle of something. I recommend Sailor Jerry, but I don't know you want coconut rum. Oh, I love coconut rum. Thank you. I appreciate that. Coconut rum is one of my favorites, Michael Rim. Okay, so I don't know why that didn't show up on the screen, but oh, there, it shows up there. What did I do? I broke something. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We'll figure that out later. Either way, thank you to Michael Will. Okay, so now we got our wire soldered here. So the power supply's ground is soldered to the screw hole, which is ground, and the power supply's plus is soldered to Pepe Bus G3 hot. So when I turn it on, it's going to be putting out some power, and something's going to get warm. The thing is, how are we going to tell what gets warm? Well, I got this handy-dandy thermal camera here, which I almost never use. I went over it in a review. It works, it's just it's $900, so it's not exactly my go-to item. But this cool little thermal camera here is going to show me what it is that gets hot in the board, and I might just run it through it with you so that you can see how it works. So this is my little thermal camera from Union Repair. Again, not exactly something I recommend because it's $900. $900 is a little on the too expensive to recommend side, but I did not pay that much for it. I paid free, so can't really say much. All right, so I'm going to put this under the board under here. The camera's a little small, so I got to move the thing around, and we're going to see what gets hot. Someone says Apple is the expensive shiny turd. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Apple is some expensive shiny turd. Now we're going to start at 1 volt. We're only going to put 1 volt through. It's using 1.9 amps, so that's about 2 watts. Do you think it's worth it to get an Antminer S9 now? Considering that they offer no support if it breaks and the thing's really expensive, I probably would just want to build my own miner. Yeah. Because if you build your own mining rig and it winds up not really working well, or something breaks, you get some level of support. And do keep in mind, I'm only speaking from my experience trying to get information on their products, not as a consumer. So say with that what you will. Now the whole idea behind this is whatever the hell is getting hot is supposed to show up on here. Like you can see the wire is getting hot, right? So that's showing up at 34 Celsius. But yeah. Now there's a button that I can hit that's supposed to show me the thing that's warm. But nothing here is really warmer than the rest. It could also be on the other side of the board that my thing that's shorted is. Alright, come on. Eh? Nope. It could be a CPU MOSFET. Which with these very, very sissy CPUs would typically mean that it's dead. But that does not seem to be the case. So you're regularly using the $900 thermal imager. Honestly, only for repair videos because it's cool. It has a cool factor. I don't usually use it over the course of my day. I use the alcohol method. But this is much cooler for videos. Alright, and there's a button that I can hit. When you hit the button, it's supposed to show you what's getting warm. Alright, so it seems like when you hit the button over here, it's very clear what's getting hot. Can you guys see that? Can you see this? So this component over here is 36 degrees, while the rest of the board is 29 degrees. See this? And if I were to up the voltage, you would notice that the temperature goes up. So I'm upping the voltage right now in the power supply from 2.4 volts to 2.9 volts, and the temperature is going up accordingly. See how that works? The more power... Xiaomi Mi Notebook Pro, it's under 1,000 thoughts. I wish I could say I haven't tried it and I haven't seen it, so I don't know much about it. But the thing is, a lot of people have been asking me about that notebook, so I may actually start looking into it. I honestly can't say because I don't know much about it at all, but I will look into it. Make sure to remind me in the comment section so I don't forget. So yeah, this chip over here is clearly hot. See, this chip is PP Bus G3 hot. All right, so. And if I were to touch it, ow. Now, the thing is, it could not be the chip itself. It could actually be the capacitor next to the chip that's doing it. Let's take a look at that under the microscope, though, because you can't really get a good view from here. So I'm going to take a look under the microscope, and you tell me what you think of what you see in that area. All right. Now, tell me what you see. And Jessa, don't give anybody an answer, because Jessa likes to give people answers. Tell me what you see here. Make this board great again. Greetings from Hungary. I got 1,000 huff. Oh, wow. What's a huff? Much huff. I hope I'm not gonna... Why, thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Not necessary, but highly appreciated. Okay, good, very good, Chuck. What you see is a solder ball. Now let me just turn the power from the power supply off so I don't shock myself while going through this with you. But it shows up easier on the screen than here, but right here you can see a solder ball. This solder ball popped out from right around the area. And when you see a solder ball next to a chip, that's typically a guaranteed sign that it's broken. How many hours do you typically work in a week? I work less now than before due to reasons I prefer not to discuss on camera, but I used to work around 60, and I work considerably less now for a bunch of reasons I'm not putting on camera, but I used to work 60 a lot of the time. 60. Thoughts on Linus versus Apple, and do you think you can fix your Mac Pro, says Zam. I probably can't fix his Mac Pro for a number of disappointing reasons. The first is, I honestly have done no work on the newer iMacs, so I'm fairly clueless as to how they're constructed. And the other thing is, we figure out how to fix a machine typically when it first comes out by learning on that device. So we'll get one of those devices and we'll learn on it. And learning on the first device means messing it up. The thing is, if I haven't worked on it, do I really want to learn on Linus's machine that he paid $5,000 or $10,000 for? Probably not. I have no idea how that thing is put together. I have no idea how to open it. I could learn. It's just, I'm going to mess it up as I learn. I have no idea what he screwed up. That's the other thing. I don't have schematics or board views for it. Even if I had schematics and board views, I don't have parts for it. I don't have donor boards for it. It would be cool. It would be cool to have as a pet project meaning something that sits in the office and that I work on as I get parts to it, as I have time to figure it out. But it's not something that I could do in, like one foul swoop like any one of these boards. Okay. But that would be cool. But yeah, the thing is, a lot of people are saying that, wow, thank you for the years of excellent content. I work in professional data recovery and learned a huge amount of valuable information from these videos. Cool. Thank you very much, Cal. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. Ultra Noob says, greetings from down under. Don't let the angry pixies fall out when you flip the board. I won't. Thank you. I appreciate that. And also, if you donate $5 and you live in Australia, it shows up on the screen as ass. It's just one of those things, man. I like $4.99 or $6 would be, yeah, $4.99 next time, not $5. Yeah, I think you probably knew that. Yeah, Ultra Noob funded ass. Anyway, so yeah, but on the iMac Pro, that's one of those things where everybody says, yeah, he opened it, so they won't service it. But how are you supposed to clean the dust out of it? I mean, have any of the people that have been criticizing him for this ever even opened an iMac? Once a year, you need to open that thing if you're in an environment that's not pristinely HEPA filtered, because it's going to be filled with dust and crap. You need to open it to get the stuff out of there. And it is a pro machine that does start at $5,000. So if what Apple's saying is we are not going to help you, even if you wish to engage in routine maintenance that you need to engage in for this machine to work, well, that's some bullshit. And I understand them saying, hey, you screwed with it. We are not going to work on it unless you pay an additional fee. That's fine. Charge a screw-up fee. Charge an extreme screw-up fee. But don't just do nothing. And from a PR perspective, purely PR perspective, if there's any sort of social media relations or somebody at Apple, you effed up. You effed up badly because he has 5 million subscribers. That's a lot of good PR that you could have gotten if you did a bang-up job, and you screwed up terribly. Like just from that point of view, when Linus has 5 million subscribers, so that that's a point to make. That's where you could make an impression. And they screwed up on making a good impression. They are doing things that don't make a damn bit of sense, even from just a financial point of view. Even if the screw up means it screws up again, Apple is responsible. They don't want that. Yeah, but they're responsible anyway. When you that's kind of part of what you're charging for is, like, when I charge for a board repair, I'm not just charging for the board repair. I'm charging for the 10-minute conversation you may have to have 6 months down the line when they say Open Office has been running slower since you fixed the board. It's part of customer service. And you could also change the terms of it. But yeah. Jessa says some of us suck it up and buy the Apple product we need to study, like this iPhone. Yeah. All right, so we've been getting a little bit too far off topic here. Let's just go back to the board repair and see what that chip is for. So if we look at the schematic and the board view, which is going to be in front of me now, the chip that is burning and the nasty capacitor is C7601 and U7600. So what is U7600? What is U7600 for? Okay, so U7600 is a transistor that creates the 5-volt rail. Wow. Is the Microsoft case more of a DMCA issue than a right to repair issue? Great question. I want to clarify that. I do not believe that the Microsoft case in any way, shape, or form at the moment is a right to repair issue, because Eric very clearly used somebody else's disk image and was passing it off as something that it wasn't. Technically, the disk had the same software on it, but the disk image itself, all the imagery looked like Dell and Microsoft. And that's not a right to repair issue, because right to repair is not about me passing off something that I put together or printed up as somebody else's stuff. That's not what right to repair is about. Right to repair is about, if a factory that created an Apple product wishes to sell that to me, and I wish to buy it to fix something, and I'm not misrepresenting to my customer that it came from who the hell knows China, that I should be able to do that so that you have a hard drive cable replaced, when Apple won't even replace your hard drive cable, even if you're willing to shell out $500 for it. Right to repair is about me being able to buy chips or find schematics that I can use to recover data from devices that Apple themselves would not recover data from. A right to repair is not about me downloading copies of software for free, then passing it off as if it came from Dell or Microsoft disks while selling it. So while I do not believe that he should have got the 15-month sentence, I do not believe that what Microsoft did in court was right. I'm not defending that as a right to repair issue. So back to the buck converter idea. So this is a buck converter. The way this works is very simple. You have 12 or 13 volts coming into the top over here, but you need to make 5 volts. So how are we going to get 13 volts into 5 volts? Well, this over here is a transistor. A transistor can turn on, it's like a switch, so it's going to let electricity through when it's told to turn on. This big chip over here is going to tell it when to turn on. Thanks very much, Sandio C100, for the £5. Yeah, look, I'm finally getting good at telling euros from pounds. So this chip over here is a transistor. And it's going to switch back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And while this chip is switching back and forth, it is going to be sending pulses of 13 volts through this inductor. But it's going to send a little bit of 13 volts, 0 volts. 13 volts, 0 volts. 13 volts, 0 volts. Because it's switching on, off, on, off, on, off. And that's going to average out to 5 volts. Because when you average out 13 and 0 and 13 and 0 and 13 and 0, then it's eventually going to average itself out to 5 volts, which is what you want. And this chip over here is regulating the process of that happening. So if it's making 5.1 volts, it'll say, hey, send less pulses through. And if it's making 4.9 volts, it'll say, hey, send more pulses through, so that the average winds up being 5 volts when it comes out of here. And the problem is that this transistor over here is shorted directly to ground. The inside of it is likely broken. Now, what would be really cool, because I probably don't have this transistor, is if it wasn't the transistor that was broken, but rather the capacitor next to it. As you can see, the capacitor next to it looks like garbage. This capacitor over here, I could probably just knock off the board with my tweezer, the way Jessa does. Recommendations on phone models that are good of the Droid Turbo 2 and have multiple issues with it. I like the Moto G. The Moto, honestly, even when it comes to Motorola, this is how you can tell I'm not sponsored by them, but there's actually From what I read online, there seems to be less issues with their cheaper phones than with their more expensive phones. The Moto G is something like $179, virtually bulletproof, liquid resistant, really very hard to break the screen, doesn't slow down over time, has a user replaceable battery, has a micro SD card slot, has a headphone jack, has very close to stock Android, not quite stock Android, but Moto G all the way. Thank you, Louis, for all you do. If I could walk past your shop and give you a high five, I would, or even a hangi. You might need to Google that. I'm not Googling what a hangi is because that sounds dirty. Recommendation: screw Apple, get something decent like a ThinkPad. I agree. Definitely agree. Absolutely. Don't think different. Think better. ThinkPad. So let's see if I can knock this capacitor off because I have a good feeling that this is my problem. All right, so we knocked the capacitor off, and we're going to check and see if we still have a short circuit. And we sure do have a short circuit. Yep, that is totally a short circuit, so we have not fixed our problem. Our problem is with this chip. So I'm going to remove this chip over here and see what happens. All right. So I got my hot air station here. Thank you, Louis, for all that you did. Oh, I read that one already. So, now we have a Wi-Fi chip right next to this chip, and this is what's going to make this a little bit difficult. We don't want to screw with this chip. This chip has underfill. So, this is something that Jessa talks about a lot in her videos, and I don't talk about a lot in mine because I don't have to deal with it as much since I don't do as much work on cell phones as Jessa does. But underfill, geez, are you the hardware Richard Stallman? How dare you? How dare you? Anyway, no, I am not. So, this underfill over here is sitting around all the solder balls under the chip. So if I heat this, the solder balls are going to expand, the underfill is going to move, the underfill is going to expand, and then all the solder balls are going to come popping out of the chip, and that's very, very bad, and then this person will never have Wi-Fi again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the Wi-Fi chip with a metal shield in the hopes that it will absorb the heat before the Wi-Fi chip does. So I want to get off this broken transistor, but without breaking the rest of the board. So I want the heat to be going here, but I want the shield to absorb the heat before it gets to the Wi-Fi chip. And the second I see that this is melted, I want this thing to get the heck off of there. Ba-bam! Okay, so now we can see if we still have a short circuit. So I'm going to put power through, and it looks like we no longer have a short circuit at all. I can double check that by probing it with my multimeter. So we're going to check where PP-Bus G3 hot was, right over there. And let's see what the resistance is to ground now that we have removed that nasty looking chip. And it's going up, 300 ohms, 1400 ohms. So, yep, it has gone up considerably. Greetings from Russia, comrade. Your content is quite interesting, and you seem like a decent man. Thank you. I appreciate that. But, yeah, donating me rubles, if I try to run for public office someday, that's going to come back to haunt me. Russia collusion! Russia collusion. Holy moly, 1,844 people watching. Okay. So, let's see if we have any of that transistor that I could solder on there, because that would really be lame if I don't have one. So, is that used in a similar model board? Probably not. Okay, CSD 58879Q3D. I'm going to look up the MacBook from the year before this one, because I'm pretty sure I do not have a donor board for this machine yet. If I don't, we're going to come back to this machine at a later date and go from there. Oh, lame. Yeah, no dice. Hi. All right. Well, we got most of it. But we didn't get all of it. Now, you know what I could actually do to figure out what if I put 5 volts in from my power supply? So my 5-volt power supply is not working because I don't have the transistor that I need, but that shouldn't stop me. I have a power supply, and what I'm going to try doing is injecting 5 volts into that rail and turning it on with the charger. That should be just fine. So check this out. Check out what I'm going to do here. This is going to be a little bit of a cool modification, right? So this transistor over here is broken. And I took this off. I don't have a replacement. Euros in Ireland. Thank you for sharing your work. Fixing a dead display in an iMac. Wish me luck. I do wish you luck. Best of luck, my friend. Thank you, Lewis, for being a fantastic human. I am a musician and work as an IT tech and follow your videos for the past 3 months. The world needs more wise streamers like you. Next time in New York, I'll come give you my CD and a bottle of wine. Thank you. It's very kind of you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right. Next up. So what I'm going to do over here, this transistor is broken, and this transistor is critical for taking my 13 volts and switching it into 5 volts for this rail. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to inject 5 volts from my power supply in here while I plug the charger in. And the idea here is that if that's the only thing wrong, then I should be able to get this thing to turn on and give me some Vcore. I'm impatient. I don't want to wait to order that transistor. Unfortunately, I don't have that transistor in stock. And this is the type of thing that would stop me from fixing Linus's machine. Linus asked you about any advice on his Mac Pro. What are you, reading my mind, man? I was just about to talk about that. The thing is, I need to have chips. So I can get some diagnostic work done, but I can't get all of it done. The only way for me to get all of it done is to have all the little chips and parts that I need. So I can get some of it done, but not all of it done, unless I have donor boards and all these parts directly available, and I need to be able to order them. So this here, I can't tell for sure if it's going to work, but what I can do is I can guess. And I'm going to guess by putting 5 volts on that rail, and I want to see what happens when I put 5 volts on that rail. I want to see if we can get it to turn on, even though I won't be able to give it to the customer like this because I can't tell the customer, hey, you need to carry around a 5-volt power supply with you anytime you want to use your machine. What I can do is get a little bit of an idea if it's worth putting more effort into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find where that shows up. Good video, but give us old guys a break. I will. I'll try. It's just, hey, I don't mean to be mean to all old people. Greetings from Spain. Thanks for the lessons. Ricky Began taught me most of what I know, and he's got to be like 60-something now. He was really, really smart. Okay, so let's take the wire off of there, and I got to find where PP5ES4 is on this board. So where is PP5ES4? Hi, Lewis. I know you when you had 500 subs. I taught myself this guy is going to go far. He's honest and smart. 2 years later, 350K sub. Thank you. Thank you for being a loyal viewer. I like the word subscriber more than fan. Subscriber I approve of. Be a subscriber. Never be a fan. Always think for yourself. Okay. So PP5ES4 is somewhere over here. Greetings from Spain. Thanks for the lessons. Oh, thank you for watching. I'm glad you got something out of them. There's nothing more rewarding than when people actually get something out of this and make something work again. That's what's fun. Why would he listen to Twitch chat? I listen to Twitch chat, but it's just a bunch of feels-good men and funny-looking emoticons with neck beards. Is that a neck beard? No, that's a neck chin. What is that guy doing? It's like a neck something? Thank you to Teehee. Wi-Fi is a fad. Are you going to visit Linus's studio? I don't really know what I would do when I visited Linus's studio. Okay, so where's PP5ES4? This is... I even stopped listening to Primordial to see your show. That's some real relaxing power you have. Haha, good work on defending Eric against the microsuck. Thank you for your $5, anti-communist. I appreciate your anti-communist username. And your anti-communist picture. Very good, Mr. Anti-Communist. I approve. Alright, so let's get my wire in here. on the 5-volt rail. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the charger, and I'm going to have 5 volts going through here, and we're going to see if the damn thing turns on. This is a bit of a hack job. I am going to have to come back to this when I have a proper transistor. You never know if it's going to complain. Because sometimes the machine is going to complain that the timing is not right on stuff, and that's just a pain in the ass. But let's see what we get. Or it'll blow up. You never know. I don't think it'll blow up, though. Greetings from upstate New York. Love the videos. Thank you. Appreciate that. I do appreciate that. That's very kind. Does Lewis read chat? Lewis reads chat, and Lewis remembers the time that he offered you a job when you said you were looking for a job, and you said no. So take that. Ha ha. Lewis ignored us. Lewis remembers you all. May not like you all, but remembers you all. Okay, so our power supply, voltage, is going to go up to 5, because 5 volts is what we need there. Bada bing, bada boom. And I'm going to plug in the charger and see what happens when I get my 5-volt rail going. So, charger plugged in. I've tried this on the regular MacBook, and it actually has worked. 5-volt rail on. All right. Let's see what we get. So, first thing I'm interested in is what do we get on PP-Bus G3 Hot. That was our original shorted rail. PP-Bus G3 Hot is... Hey, 13 volts! We got 13 volts! We fixed one of our problems. Is that a T12 tip? Yes, it is. It's a T12 tip on a Hacko FX951. Do find links to all the tips we use in the description down below. You got to run for Congress. Greetings from Germany. Oh, yeah, I would... Running against Naomi would be fun just for the hell of it, but that would be such a waste of time. You get paid for tool recommendations. If you click on the Amazon links that I have below, in the interest of full disclosure, we do get anywhere from a 4 to 12% commission from Amazon for what you buy from the links below. So I do get commissions if you click on the Amazon links, but I recommend the equipment that I want to recommend. So, you know, it's not like I don't get paid by Hacko to recommend Hacko. I don't get paid by Quick to recommend Quick. I don't get paid by Amscope to recommend Amscope. I get paid by Amazon. So long as what I link to is on Amazon, I get paid for it. But the actual vendors don't pay me. The reason I like the Amazon affiliate program is that it does keep you honest to some degree in that I can choose whatever the hell I want. It's not like I'm getting paid by Weller, or I'm getting paid by Hacko, or I'm getting paid by Circuit Specialists. It's whatever I want to recommend, I can recommend. So, you know, then again, you know, people could say I'm biased for Amazon, but oh well. I'll let Jeff Bezos get a win there. Okay, so we got 13 volts. Unfortunately, it is still dead. It does not like my attempt to inject 5 volts. It's still dead. So I'm going to have to replace that transistor and then surge downstream and see what happens. Because this is... Now we're getting 0.051 amps of usage on that rail. Are you turning on? Let's see. CPU vCore? CPU vCore? Thank you for sharing and caring. Your vids help a lot of peeps. Thank you. Nope, no dice. It definitely is a timing issue, so I can't just inject 5 volts. It needs to come on at a certain time. So this little trick isn't going to work. I am going to have to replace that transistor in order to get it to work. Unfortunately, I do not have that transistor, so... Not much I can do. Crest PowerSonic P1200 H45 is out of stock. We may have just gotten a couple more in. Crest is really slow at that. I hope to have some more in. It may actually, if I do have some in the front, I may wind up putting them on the website right after I'm done with this video. So that's it for today. There's not really much more I can do with this motherboard until I get some new transistors for my PP5 ES4 circuit. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope that you learned something. And that's it for today. Do you speak Italian, or your family never spoke it? In the words of Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastards, arrivederci. I guess that's about it for today.